The devastating flood that occurred in Hat Yai not only affects people in the area, but also family members working in Bangkok, who are staying closely updated on the situation of their loved ones. Warissara Sae-Han, Thai PBS World journalist, born and raised in Hat Yai, received a concerning news from her hometown. Houses are flooded and families have to flee from their homes.
My grandma and my dad, they were evacuated just a couple hours before the water reached at the highest. And the rest of my family, my mom, she stayed at her home, but my auntie and my uncle, they're stuck in the area. And here's the thing. My auntie and my niece, she's actually swam out of her house with the 3 or 4 meters high of the water to evacuate it by themselves to the higher position.
The flood is not new for local residents, but they have not experienced this destructive level before. The flood level reached 2 meters, while the phone signal was cut off.
We didn't expect that the situation could get this worse. So, to be honest with you, I think they can handle it at first because floods in Hat Yai or in the southern part of Thailand, it's not something new, you know? So when I heard about the warning or when I heard about this disaster, at first, of course, I was worried, but I know that they can handle it. And then when the situation, it got even worse, I was worried, very concerning. One thing is that all of the signals, all of the receptions there were lacking or were cut off. So I would say that was one of the reasons that kept me, worried, yeah.
Warissara said that this is the most disastrous situation she has ever seen, and that better management will be needed in the future.
In my entire life, for 26 years, this time is the most severe disaster that I ever seen in my life. And in my 26 years, it's not the first time that the floods happened in Hat Yai or in the southern part of Thailand. It at least 2 or 3 major events, but same thing turned out to be, lacking. Same things turned out to be miscommunicating. And people, they were almost cut off of the radar from the government. I understand that this situation is very hard for all sectors to work on or to, to rescue all of the affected people. But if we have a better preparations, if we have a better management in terms of prevention or in terms of management, people wouldn't be people wouldn't be calling for help out of their heart when they hear the boats right in front of them and acknowledge that even the rescue boats can't even take more people on the boat.
Thai PBS has opened the Southern Flood Relief War Room, where people across occupations gathered to help.
Where's your house in this map?
My house?
Yeah.
If we're speaking of my house, I have so many houses, but they are in the same area. Let's starting off with the first one. My mother's house is in this area, Tesa Patana Road. And my auntie house, as I say that they were swimming out of their homes, they are actually here. My auntie's house is here.
So this is the most severe part.
Exactly.
Right?
So if I'm giving you a picture of the most affected areas from the flood in Hat Yai, in this area, so you can see that this one looked like a railway. This one is the railway station in Hat Yai. From this to this is the most affected areas.
And you've been staying here for how many days already?
For the war room, right? So this is my second day for the war room in Thai PBS. I even answered so many calls this morning, and especially I'm the local there, right? I can see clearly where the affected people or areas
You
are.
can spot them on the map.
Yeah. It's kind of like me interviewing them, like.
Volunteering to answer calls is not an easy task, as the number of incoming calls can be overwhelmed.
You have to answer calls from affected people. You have to answer calls crying or, I don't know, shouting for you to kind of like help that family. Help me, I'm on the roof. I'm on the rooftop of my house, So that's why we have to have the social workers.
So from our experience as being the reception of their callers, and then we found that the people who have no experience in psychological background or social work background, that they tend to feel overwhelmed or traumatized from receiving the call and feel sometimes like there is no way to help, and they have the emotional problems. So we are here to support.
People gathered to monitor the situation while locals continue calling for help, and questions about water management remain. Natasha Gitmok, Thai PBS, report.